Okay, this is Veteran Outdoorsman Channel, and we've got Ethan Gooch here. How about you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Ethan Gooch. I run Gucci TV on YouTube. I was a past intern at the Hunting Public. Still hunt with those guys quite a bit. Yeah, that's the short introduction.
Okay. Well, with the hunting public is where I first saw you,
Yeah.
obviously, and could you just talk a little bit about that experience? I'm sure you learned a whole lot uh, with that opportunity. Could you just talk a little bit about that experience with those guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for anyone who might not be up to date as far as what the internship is like or who the Hunting Public is, the Hunting Public is a YouTube channel. They post mostly hunting related content. I'd say now on YouTube, they're probably one of the bigger channels as far as hunting goes, just outdoor content in general. There's five of them that do it kind of full time, that make videos, and they're pretty famous mostly for doing all their stuff on public land. So every year they hire one or two interns. The year I did it, so the fall of 2020, there was only one intern. That was me. And it runs from about July to about Christmas time. So nearly 6 months I spent with them. And yeah, like you said, I learned a whole lot, um, not only about hunting and how public land works. I learned a lot about traveling, learned a lot about camping. But probably what I learned the most about is just video creation and just videoing in general. I was really thankful for the opportunities that I had with them. Got to travel all over the United States, mostly in the Midwest. But I went to North Dakota, I went down to Georgia, just kind of went all over. It was a ton of fun. Most of the nights we spent in a tent or in the back of a car, which I didn't have any problem with. I love doing that. So yeah, just had a blast with them, learned a ton, and it's an opportunity that's really helped me out now, starting my own YouTube channel. I'm a familiar face to a lot of people just because of my appearance on their show. So yeah, it was a ton of fun.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, those guys appear to be a real class act. Um, I've been following them for a couple of years now, and I really enjoyed that. I've really enjoyed their videos and things like that, and I've started to like your show and your style. I mean, you've carried some things over like from the hunting public, but you've definitely got your own style of videos. And um, I've got to ask this, had you really had any experience with public land hunting before you started with the hunting public?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, so kind of like you said, I post mostly, I won't say mostly. I mean, I post content about anything. We've had mountain lion hunts, we've had deer hunts, we've had turkey hunts. But kind of the bulk or what I grew up doing was waterfowl hunting. And most of those opportunities, I'm from Missouri. So I'd say 90% of the time we're waterfowl hunting, at least duck hunting, is on public land. So that was kind of my only real taste of public land hunting, was the waterfowl side. Certainly was familiar with how that worked and some of the headaches that come along with public land as far as that goes. But I definitely turkey hunted some on public land, but I'd never deer hunted on public land. I don't deer hunt a whole lot, to be honest, but I'd never done that on public land, and my experience with them was pretty much all deer hunting. So that was a brand new thing for me, was public land hunting, especially for deer. Um, there's definitely some really cool things about public land, and then there's definitely some headaches that are involved with public land. So um, I enjoyed getting to learn how all that works, traveling to new places. It was just really cool. I'd say the coolest part about it is just knowing that anyone can do it, and I think that that's kind of why they have a little niche in the market. Is just that it's not private land. It's not a 3,000 acre lease. It's not, a ton of money going into it. They're just traveling from state to state, hunting on stuff that everyone else can hunt on. So, yeah, I didn't have a whole lot of experience hunting on public land as far as deer went, but definitely had hunted on public land before for waterfowl.
Yeah. Well, I'm from Missouri as well. Well, I might as well say that I've lived here for 20 something years now. I was born in Florida, uh but I'm from about an hour west of St. Louis.
Okay. Yeah.
So now my experience, now I've done some waterfowl. Actually, I was about 20 years ago, I was really heavily into waterfowl hunting, and we did that all on public land as well. And Missouri has some great programs with the daily draws and things like that. You're not guaranteed to draw, but if you do get drawn, chances are you're going to have a pretty good hunt.
Yep.
um Missouri has a lot of people don't agree with a lot of things they do, but that's one thing that I think they manage pretty well is their special waterfowl areas. And then you can put in for draws for reservations and things like that. And I'm sure if you're a big waterfowl hunter, I'm sure you're familiar with all of that. uh
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, I completely agree with everything you're saying there. I've said a lot that I think as far as a government or uh, something that's ran by the state, I think the waterfowl system in Missouri is as good as it gets. Like you said, I mean, you're not guaranteed to have a great hunt and you're not guaranteed to draw on, but I've had a ton of amazing duck hunts on public land in Missouri, and just listening to other people from around the country that duck hunt on public land, they say it's not comparable to Missouri. So I would agree with you there. It's a it's a good thing what Missouri has going on as far as the managed waterfowl areas.
Yeah.
So
My uncle is who got me into waterfowl hunting. Again, I haven't done it in a while. I just it's time consuming and it's expensive. Um, but he got me into it 20 some years ago, and he had a lease around Sykeston, but we would always go and try to get drawn at Duck Creek first,
uh-huh.
and then the lease was our backup. So that tells you that the quality of the hunting on the public ground is pretty good if your lease is your backup.
Right.
Um, and he just did that so he was guaranteed if he drove an hour and a half that he'd get to hunt.
Right.
You do get down there and you don't get drawn, and it's a little frustrating if you don't have another spot to go. Um, but but generally in those areas, there's some walk-in spots not too far and things like that. If you're just you have to go that day. So I was really impressed with the way they set that up, and I know it. I the only area I've really, as far as that type of area, the only one I've really had experience with is Duck Creek. But they had boats set up there for
Yep.
you to get to your blinds. Now you had to either paddle or you had to supply your own trolling motor, or
Yep.
something like that. But still, the fact that they had the boats, the blinds were nice and brushed in and things. Plus the local waterfowl are used to seeing them anyway. Um, because they've been there forever. They're just become part of the landscape. So it was in the way that they managed flooding everything. And something else I've discovered is those areas, although they're closed a good part of the year, at least in sections to this, they're also pretty good for deer hunting because of the limited pressure because they close after duck season starts.
Yep.
So that's something else to think about. I've lately I've watched some of your turkey hunting videos, and I've also been impressed. You're not an attention hog. You show other guys videos on your channel and stuff like that. And I'm sure a lot of that has to do with time constraints and be able to create your own content. So you get
Yep.
somebody to do things for you, and it's cool. But something that really impressed me when watching you on the Hunt in Public is how excited you get, even when somebody else shoots. Um, that that is why we're out there.
Right.
I mean, that's why we're out there. Now, I don't get the leg shakes and that kind of thing, but the day that I don't get excited when me or one of my buddies shoot a deer is the day I'm just gonna quit.
Right.
Or a turkey or a squirrel or a rabbit. I mean, squirrel season's getting ready to open, and I'm gonna do that, and it's just so I'm assuming you grew up hunting and fishing and things like that. You're how old are you?
I'm 21.
You're 21.
Um, yep.
So I graduated high school before you were born. um, but you, like I said, I just think it's cool watching how excited you get, and watching with your new channel, with your channel, with the content and and what you've done with that. The that goose hunting competition that
Yeah.
you I've always wanted to do one of those snow goose hunts. Uh,
Uh-huh.
I've not gotten a chance to, but that's cool. You know, around here we call them winged carp.
Right.
Um, but I've heard a lot of guys talk about those, and that was really cool to see because that's the kind of thing, you know. Snow geese are kind of considered a trash bird, and unless you're just a diehard waterfowl fan, you're not that familiar with those types of hunts, and you don't see videos of that type of stuff very often.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool. And like I said, you know, you've done the turkey hunts here lately. The deer hunt with your girlfriend, that was a pretty cool one.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was cool.
that was that was a nice buckskin shot.
Yeah, that was cool. Um,
Commented on
I
your
was just gonna go back to just getting excited, like you said. Um, I really I agree with what you're saying 100%. I mean, I get a lot of questions about why I hunt all the time or why I'm outside all the time. And I would say it's just 100% mostly getting excited. I don't know why exactly. I know for like, as far as the deer hunting goes, I hadn't done a whole lot of deer hunting. So, when you're traveling around and you've got, we'd go into a state or we'd go into a place and, you're kind of feeling the pressure of we've got, 5 to 7 days to make this happen. And, you're out there from sunrise to sunset and it's just usually you and one other guy, and some of the things I got to see just as far as, um, things I never thought I'd see. One I think about the most is the one that Aaron shot in Iowa when we got out of the tree stand and crawled around the hill, and the thing walked right up to us and he shot it at like 8 yards on the ground. I just Things like that I just never thought I would see, and not having done any type of hunting that was like that, I couldn't help but just get really excited. The other thing too about it that I don't think a lot of people realize is, there's hunting for enjoyment, which I'd always done before, and then there's kind of hunting like they do it, where obviously they're enjoying it, they're loving it, but it's also how they all make a living. And I wasn't. I mean, the internship was unpaid, so I didn't have that pressure either. But you talk about going traveling however far to a state and all the money involved, and then the pressure of trying to get a video out of a hunt and being successful. There's a lot of other factors besides just shooting a deer, that those guys have, as far as the business side goes. So I just couldn't help but get super excited when, something was successful, just because those guys were such good guys. And there was a lot of factors that went into harvesting that deer besides just going out and trying to enjoy the hunt. They had a lot of other stresses that were on them besides just trying to get a deer. So
Oh,
that's kind
sure,
of why I got so excited about it as far as that
sure,
goes.
sure. Yeah, that's it. It is a completely different animal, and especially if that's your living, to be able, you're traveling around on public land, and people are, I mean, they post all their content. If they get stumped, they get stumped, but people are watching the videos for the success.
Absolutely.
So that adds a completely different stress factor to it, I'm sure. Uh, so but the opportunity, to be able to go to different states and to do that kind of thing. I mean, you got a great opportunity to be able to do that. Um,
Absolutely.
that's that's just really cool. So you've you've obviously we've touched on this already. You've obviously started your own channel and you're doing your own thing now. Um, but I, like you said, I've seen you. I think you had Ted with you on a turkey hunt not too long ago.
Yep.
And you still keep in touch with those guys, obviously.
Yeah.
Uh, so what kind of do you have a specific direction where you're going to be leading your channel? I mean, obviously this fall and winter you'll have waterfowl hunts, I'm sure, but
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. So I have kind of on the point as far as having Ted and just like being with the hunting public, still hanging out with those guys. I just got back 2 days ago from Montana and Wyoming. Me and my buddy Bryce, who helps me with the videos, we went out to Montana and Wyoming for, I think it was 10, ended up being 10 days. Um, and we both shot our first Merriam's turkey. So yeah, I still get to hang out with those guys. Those guys don't really care if I'm around. They love when I am around, and they're more than welcome to have me whenever I can go. So I got to go do that for 10 days. I've got one more turkey hunt coming up, which will be posted on Monday. Bryce got one in Montana. And then the Wyoming turkey hunts that we filmed from this year will get posted next year.
cool.
Viewership for turkey hunts kind of falls off after it's May 21st. So, I mean, pretty much right now, turkey hunts are really starting to fall off just because seasons are closing everywhere. So all the content will be posted next probably March. I'm gonna go up to Wisconsin here Monday through Friday to film turkey hunts with Jake. Jake's from Wisconsin, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna be up there for 5 days. And then as far as content goes, I'm not exactly sure. I definitely have some plans, but I think Bryce and I are going to go arrowhead hunting the rest of the day. That's what we do, that a lot in the summer. So I'm going to make a couple videos as far as the arrowhead hunting goes. I've got a trip planned to Arkansas to go thermal hog hunting. I've got some
That'll be
guys that
that'll
live
be
down in Arkansas, so they do that all the time. I'm planning on going down there and doing that for 5 days or so. And then we post a lot of fishing content. The fishing content doesn't seem to do nearly as well, but we do fish. I mean, that's what we do a lot during the summer. So fishing content. And then our waterfowl season will start pretty early this year. We're going to head up to North Dakota the 15th of August and
oh wow.
start for their early Canada goose season. And then September 1st is when our dove season opens. So I've really only got 2 months here that I'll have to figure some stuff out. But yeah, that's kind of my plans. Fishing content, gonna go hog hunting, and then I don't know. It's weird, or at least it has been strange the past 6 months because I won't ever really have a plan, and then somebody will message me on Instagram or Facebook, or hear from somebody, come do this, and then I just end up going and doing it. That's kind of how that whole competition snow goose hunt started. I actually posted on Instagram asking if I could come film someone in Arkansas. I've always wanted to go down to Arkansas and snow goose hunt. Um, and somebody just messaged me back and said, yeah, we're going to be doing this competition. I was like, that would be sweet if I could go down and film them. And then just lucky enough, they had the craziest hunt, that I know about. So,
Yeah,
um,
that was pretty cool.
yeah, stuff like that kind of just comes up. And luckily enough, I've got one more year of school. So, I do work here at a local feed lot, but got a pretty flexible schedule. So I'm able to kind of just leave when I need to and work when I can. So um, that's kind of my plans as far as the content goes. And then, like you said, next fall, I'm going to have deer hunts, waterfowl hunts. The fall's easy. I can always find something to do.
Yeah. So what are you going to school for?
I am majoring in agriculture sciences. I go to Truman State here. It's my hometown. So I'm going for agriculture sciences, and then I'm getting my minor in business. So I'll be a senior next year. I've got till next May, basically, in school. So
Oh, that'll be I mean, didn't didn't Jake go for something like that? Wasn't
yep.
that?
Jake went to a 2-year technical school in Wisconsin, and it was I'm not exactly sure. It was something for agriculture studies, but yeah, he did that program, and then he drove a spray rig for a co-op in Wisconsin, and then kind of just, he didn't luck into it. He was obviously good with a video camera, but ended up just getting on with the hunting public and has been doing that since then. But yeah, he did something very similar to what I'm doing.
Well, growing up in the Midwest, you generally either work in a factory or do something with agriculture. So yeah, I'm familiar with that. I work at a factory, uh, but I mean that's kind of your options.
Absolutely.
But that's and something else that got me going with your channel and things like that was when I found out you're from Missouri.
Yeah.
Kind of partial to that because that's where I'm from. Um, and and that was also with the hunting public. With them mostly those guys they center everything. They're based in Iowa and they
Right.
center their stuff there mostly, but Warb is from Missouri.
Yep.
Um, and you know, the Midwest is known for its deer hunting. I
Hmm.
mean, it doesn't really matter what state you're in or things like that. And it's what I'm familiar with, so that's what got me in. And their public land hunting because that's what I do.
Yeah. Yep. I think they, yeah, like you said, they got a good thing going. And something I've tried to do, and something that they told me before I started was, it's really good to have a bulk of your content come from a specific area. Whether that be, in my case, a lot of my waterfowl hunts are in Missouri. People come to, get familiar with that, and they definitely get to learn, how it is in Missouri. But the other thing that they have to their advantage is, like you said, traveling around some. And what I've found from being able to travel around some, I haven't done a whole lot, but we shot a mountain lion hunt in Wyoming. We did that Arkansas snow goose hunt. I went to Kansas and filmed a duck hunt. But when you travel to those new states, you pick up on viewers from that specific area, and that's really helped my channel grow, and it's really helped the hunting public. It's interesting if you looked at their analytics, and I did quite a bit when I was with them. um, you can see that when they go to a new state, their viewership will spike obviously in that state, but then they retain a lot of those viewers from the state that they end up going to. So being able to travel, or just post diverse content. I see a lot of channels on YouTube that, only post waterfowl hunts, or they only post turkey hunts, and that certainly is fine, but people enjoy watching all different sorts of stuff, and you're going to attract a lot more viewers from all different stuff. It's kind of like you said, that you had an interview with Troy Fowler. I mean, me and Troy are both obviously in the outdoor industry, but Troy is doing something completely different than what I'm doing,
Yeah,
and
sure,
kind of
sure.
has content related to stuff that's totally different. So being able to, talk to a diverse crowd, or being able to post stuff that's going to attract a diverse crowd, certainly really helps, and is something that people enjoy seeing, is just different stuff. So
Now, obviously, the hunting public did a lot with Troy. Did you get to meet him?
I haven't got to meet him. I'm not completely sure. I think they're going to go down to his ranch and hog hunt again in June.
Okay.
I would really like to go do that. I'm not sure if I'm going to get the opportunity to go. I might have to work, but um, I've talked to him on the phone when I was with him. Just seems like a great guy. Seems like he's kind of full energy like I am. So I'm sure we'd get along. But yeah, I've listened to a bunch of his stuff as far as the arrows and bow setup and all that goes. I really enjoy all the stuff.
Yeah, he's got a lot of information out there and a lot of stuff to learn. And that was the first chance I really got to talk to him. I've emailed him back and forth for quite a while now. He's always great about answering questions, things.
Hmm.
But the first chance I got to talk to him was the other day, and yeah, it's pretty cool. I just was curious there. Um, let me think. Uh, and sorry if I'm getting. I mean, like I said, obviously I got to start watching you with the hunting public and things like that, and that's where I know you the most from. I've gotten in with your other channel, but as far as those experiences go, uh, one of the one of the deals that you were involved in and you actually got to hunt on was that trip to Tennessee.
Hmm.
Um, what did you think about that? Because as far as what the hunting public does, that's something completely different than what they normally do.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah. It was an interesting experience, and all the hunting public guys kind of talked about it before it went. And it's kind of like I was talking about earlier, just as far as diversity of content. Um, I'm not exactly sure what aspect you're wondering about, but as far as like the collaboration with Seek One went, that's way different than what the hunting public does.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Seek One, I don't, for those that aren't familiar, they hunt in urban areas. I mean, extremely populated areas. Now I wouldn't even call them urban. I mean, they're in people's backyards. Just anywhere that they can, anywhere there's deer and they can hunt. They do. Um, and yeah, it was a super interesting experience. Probably the most interesting. And I don't want to take away from anything that Warb or Jake and them did, but what Ted and I experienced was super interesting, because we went to like Eastern Tennessee. I wouldn't say Eastern, probably more Central Tennessee. And we were hunting on like legitimate public land, way more rural, big chunks of public land in Tennessee for like 3 or 4 days. And we were really having a hard time. We got close a couple times, but we were having a hard time getting it done. And then we went over to West Tennessee and met up with the Seek One guys and the hunt and Jake and Jake and Aaron, and we did more of the urban stuff. And we weren't in people's backyards by any means, but yeah, there was some. I mean, some of the public land chunks were 10 acres, or like 100 yards from the shore. Just really small areas that people wouldn't normally think were public. And it was an interesting experience. I have said, I mean, something I truly believe is that, if it's legal and you're not trying to do anything to harm another person or break the law, I I don't have a problem with it. It's certainly not probably anything I'm going to adopt or do all the time, but it was cool to see different, different styles of hunting. And I think at least the way the hunting public felt about it and the way I certainly felt about it was there's a lot of people that don't have the opportunities to go out um, to big pieces of public land or yeah, they just don't have the same opportunities that we might living in a rural area. So, if that's their avenue into hunting, is to find, a couple backyards that they can hunt in, then I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. But it was certainly something way different than what we had done all fall. But it made it interesting, and it was, something completely brand new. And I have a lot of respect for the guys that do it because you got to be on your game and you got to make sure that you got all your T's crossed. And it's it certainly seems like what they do is easy and that they kill a big deer every year, and they do kill a big deer every year, but there's a lot of work on the front end as far as getting permission and like I said, making sure all your T's are crossed as far as being able to hunt in some of those areas. So way different than what I ever have done. Probably won't do it again, but was definitely cool. I got to shoot a buck, and yeah, it was a fun experience.
Yeah. And since you've touched on this, you watch the videos and a lot of guys get really fired up, and it doesn't matter what aspect of it is, whether it's a dove hunt or a duck hunt or a turkey hunt or deer hunt or whatever it is. And a lot of people get the ideal that, well, this is easy, I'm going to go try it, until you actually do it, and then you realize that no matter what it is, whether it's duck hunting or deer hunting or squirrel hunting or whatever, there's a lot of work involved, um, especially with waterfowl hunting. I think I and the duck commander guys are actually pretty good about doing videos on the prep work and things like that, and get you into that. I know from my experience there, I mean, getting there an hour and a half, 2 hours before daylight and setting up
Yep.
the decoys and making sure your blinds brushed in right and all of that stuff. And the night before, blowing on your calls and making sure they're not gummed up and things like
Right.
that. That is probably the most labor intensive part of the outdoors that I've ever been in, other than maybe tournament bass fishing.
Yeah.
That involves a lot of prep work and things as well, making sure all your gear is ready the night before. I mean, when it comes to deer hunting, the prep work in the scouting and things like that. But when it comes to equipment, it's okay. I've shot my rifle. I've
Yep.
got my grunt call. I've got my bag with my snacks and stuff in it. It, I've got my stand and things like that. It certainly involves some prep work. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't seem as labor intensive as some of the other stuff. And again, like I said, like waterfowl hunting and setting up the decoys and things like that. And I know that um if you had a good hunt, it made it all worth it. But if you sit there out there in a blind and at Duck Creek all day long,
Yeah.
and you shoot maybe one duck or two ducks, and then you drag everything back, when you get back home, you're just beat.
Dog tired. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've been up since 3 o'clock in the morning and things like that, and that's something that you don't see a lot of. And I think sometimes, unfortunately, it gives people the
False
wrong
hope.
perspective of it, and then when they do get involved in it, they get burned out real quick because
Yep.
they just weren't expecting it. Like I said, the duck commander guys do a lot of prep work videos,
Yep.
training dogs and call work and how to set up a decoy spread and things like that. And that kind of stuff is really helpful because you know what you're getting into.
Right.
um and the THP guys, I noticed that with a lot of their stuff, that they did their gear dumps, and they did
Yep.
how their map scouting videos and things like that. And that's something, I mean, I've done map scouting for as long as I've hunted, but I'm 40 years old. When I started, we didn't have Onyx and that kind of
Right.
stuff. So it was topo map, and hopefully everything was up to date. I mean, you may be looking at a 20-year-old map when you're
Mhm.
when you're, but my background, my dad was in the Navy, so we moved around a lot. And my first deer hunting experiences were either on my grandpa's farm up here in Missouri or with my dad at whatever military base that he was hunting at the time. And you had limited scouting opportunities because you were either going out of state, or um, you were on a military base on an area where you may only have access to it the day before, things like
Yep.
that. So we did a lot of map scouting and looking at the contours. And Dad showed me, we're not even going to mess with this area or this area. The deer may be there, but I know they're going to travel through here and those types of things. And then with the Onyx and that kind of stuff now, and I've really gotten into that. Um, and then what I've, because I've been wanting to get, now that my daughter's getting a little bit older, and and that kind of thing, I've just got a little more free time now. I'm hoping this year to do some more waterfowl hunting. I haven't done it for years. And I've been looking at on Onyx and different things on these areas that I deer hunt on, and realizing, hey, this area's got wetlands on it. This area's got this. This area's got this. Um, and that just saves you a lot of legwork and a lot of time, because even if it takes you an hour and a half to walk there, you know where you're going. You're not just
Absolutely.
blind searching and things like that. Um, but
Yeah.
and then with your aspect of it, and you guys traveling around and things, and having to make sure you've got all your camera gear, and you get your extra battery packs, and you get your extra SD cards, and all of that stuff. It I mean, don't get me wrong. It's awesome to be able to do those types of things, and to be able to make a living doing what you love. But I think it's a misconception. People think, well, they just get to hunt for a living, and it's a lot
Yep.
of fun. And those things are true, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'm sure
I think,
you've really experienced that.
yeah, I think, I don't know. I couldn't have really said it better, but um, it's interesting reading the comments, I guess. There's obviously a lot of people that are big fans, and then, it seems like no matter what, there's a certain uh, percentage of people that just aren't ever going to have anything nice to say. But I think the biggest misconception about that one is that, that because there are five guys doing it, and somebody's going to have success, at least some of the time. They are able to post videos of their successes quite a bit. People do get some sort of false notion that it is maybe easier or not as labor intensive as it seems. But I mean, after that 6 months, I mean, that was the most tired I'd been um, ever, probably. And I, like you said, I think a lot of people think that just, because we hunt all the time and make videos, that it's not a hard job or anything. And it's certain, I mean, again, like you said, you can't, I'm never going to complain about being able to do what I want to do and getting able to hunt. But um, it's a lot, there's a lot more to it, especially when you're trying to video it all, that people don't realize. My most recent example is when we were up in Wyoming and Montana the last 10 days. We camped for 10 days, and we moved our camp 9 of those 10 days. So,
Wow.
um, you know, we could legally shoot at um, 5:01 in the morning, and then we could hunt until 8:47 at night.
Wow.
and we were pretty much hunting the whole time. I mean, we were hunting the whole time, and then we'd get back and move camp to wherever somebody had birds roosted. And by the time we got all the footage captured and put on a computer at night and got to bed, it was 11 o'clock, and then we were waking up at 3:30 the next morning. People don't see that stuff, and as far as the hunting public's concerned, they'll show some of that, but again, the goal is to be entertaining and
Sure,
uh,
sure.
have content that people enjoy, and uh, I think that some of that stuff doesn't get shown as much as it should, because I think people would have a little better idea of how it really was.
I think
Um,
they'd have a greater respect for the guys that do it.
yeah, and I mean, it's funny because the guys, Greg, Aaron, and Zach, they don't even read the comments, because they don't they've been around long enough to know better to do that. But it's interesting hanging around. I hang out with Jake and Ted a lot, and just hearing what people say about that. I think it would do. We've talked about it. At least we talked about it while we were in Montana and Wyoming. I think doing some more videos as far as just like showing what all goes into it wouldn't only help people understand how it really is before they got into it, but it would also help people understand what all goes into the video creation side, and would probably result in a little bit more respect from some people. But I just don't think that those guys really care. I mean, they've got the people that like it, and the people that don't probably aren't ever going to like or
Sure,
respect what they do. So
sure.
um, yeah, I that was the thing that when I was on the internship shocked me the most, I guess, was I certainly didn't think that, oh, we're just going to go into it and have a blast all the time and get to hunt all the time. I mean, I knew there was going to be work involved, but I didn't understand the amount of stuff that went on outside of hunting that was required.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I'm really thankful for all those. It's funny because I told my parents, we were in Wyoming, and we had roosted a bird, and we came back to Warb and Zach's truck, and they had shot two birds that day, and it was pouring down rain, and we were all sitting there in the truck, and 30 minutes later, it was still pouring down rain. All of a sudden, five of them, Aaron, Zach, Ted, Hayden, Keith, all of them just come running out of this field, just soaking wet. So all of our stuff's, all of their stuff soaking wet. All of my stuff is, all of me, Jake, and my buddy Bryce's stuff's in the back of the truck getting soaking wet because I don't have a camper topper. And then we drive to the campground, and only one of us none of us have our tent out. So then we set our tent up in the rain. Well, the other two groups, besides me, Jake, and Bryce, decide that they're going to go get a hotel. So at 11:30, they head to town to go get a hotel. It's an hour drive to town. They get to town at 12:30. There's no vacancy in the hotel. And then they got to drive another hour to get to the campground. It's still raining. So they set their stuff up in the rain, which they were going to do anyway. And it was like 2 o'clock before they got to bed. And they were still out in the tent. So
Yeah,
it's just
and
like,
then they're back up at 3 and have to
yeah.
get
So it's just like,
yeah,
that's not every night. And, they're not ever going to complain about it. That's the parts you remember, stuff like that. But
yeah.
there's a
Well, that
lot
was
of that stuff going on.
this year. Yeah, I tried to get some hunts on video, and it is I've got a respect for you guys because it is a lot more difficult than it seems. And I just wasn't able to make it happen. I did kill one deer, and it was on public land, but as he's coming in, I go to reach for the camera to get it turned on, and I realize if I do this, he's gone. And I was
Yep.
like, either I try to get it on video or I shoot the deer, and I got to
Yep.
make a choice. I was like, well, I went ahead and shot the deer. I was like, I'll do an after report
Yep.
when it's over because I'm just not going to do this. Um, but my experience, I work full time. I've got limited times, things like that. But I always take the whole week of gun season off.
Okay.
Uh, and the guys that I've got some people at work that are just, when I get back after that week, they're, well, I bet you didn't want to come back to work. I'm like, I was ready to come back because this is relaxing compared to what I did. Because if you
Yeah.
spend the entire week, because with Missouri, if you're tagged out in one county, you can go shoot does in another county and things
Yep.
like that. So I can hunt every single day if I want to, as long as I'm willing to travel and whatnot. And this year, uh, the Friday night before gun season, a buddy of mine calls me and says, "Hey, I shot a deer right before dark, as with his bow, obviously. Can you help me come find it?" Well, we're out tracking this doe till tracking this deer till like 1 o'clock in the morning. Um, and then unfortunately didn't recover it. And then I've got to get up at 3 in the morning and get all my stuff ready and get to the spot. Now it's only about a half an hour down the road, but then walk an hour and a half to
Right.
where I'm going to hunt. Um, and I sat all day in the rain because this year just it rained like crazy opening day and things like that. And then I got home, and it's not time to relax. It's time to get a little bit of food in your belly and figure out what you're doing the next day
Right.
and stuff like that. And obviously I don't do it full time, and I don't always video everything. But when you've got a specific amount of time
Yeah.
to make something happen, you're working constantly.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter if you do it for a living or whatever. And I think just the public in general that's not involved in the outdoors, they just look at it and they think, well, that's a lot of fun. And it's true, it is, but it is a lot of work. Uh, and now it's once everything all comes together, it's completely worth it.
Oh yeah.
It's so much fun. But it's like I was in the army for 6 years, and we used to always say that it's weeks of boredom followed by 20 minutes of excitement. And that's kind of how hunting is.
Absolutely.
It's it's days and weeks of backbreaking work and some boredom and things like, followed by that little bit. But what people don't understand is that's what we do it for, is that little bit of time and that excitement of being able to do that. And then I think you had some youth hunts that you posted, and to getting kids involved. um I've got a 10-year-old daughter, and she's deer hunted with me a little bit. We haven't managed to get her one yet, but she's deer hunted with me a little bit, and she likes to fish and those things. And you know getting the youth involved, getting new people involved. I think the biggest thing, and you've done a really good job of showing it, the biggest thing is to let everybody know that that's what makes it worth it.
Right.
And like I said, you've done a really good job of showing that. 'Cause a lot of guys hide their excitement on camera because they're trying to be dignified and things
Right.
like that. But I think it's missing something when that happens. When when you see some of the old timers out there. I mean, don't get me wrong, Jackie Bushman and those guys, they get excited, but you don't see them jumping up in the air and things like that. And now they've been doing it a long time,
Right.
but that's what kind of got me intrigued by the newer guys and the YouTube guys and things, is how real a lot of it is. And how everything's showing you, and show the mess ups, show, although nobody likes it, but show the gut shots and show the
Right.
misses and things, and keep everything real, and then show the good times and the excitement, and that it makes it all worth it. uh and one of my coolest experiences since my daughter was born, when it came to the outdoors, is She was only 3 or 4, and Missouri squirrel season opens right before Memorial Day, and I went out and I went squirrel hunting. I killed a few squirrels. I brought them home and we cooked them. And he hadn't had squirrel before, and she helped me. She stood there and watched me skin them and everything, and then she helped me with cooking them and whatnot. And when come time to eat them, she was so excited that Daddy brought something home and we get to eat
Mm-hmm.
it. Um, and she went to school after Memorial Day. She went, or not to school. She went to her daycare, and she grossed out a bunch of the kids because everybody's, what did you do over the weekend? What did you do for the holiday and things? And she, I ate squirrels, and she was really excited. And one of the ladies at the daycare asked my wife, said, "Did she really eat squirrels this weekend?" Because that's all she talked about. And that was one of the cool things to me was to see her. She wasn't old enough to. She'd gone fishing with me and stuff, but she wasn't really old enough to go with me. But
Mm-hmm.
she still got enjoyment out of it,
Right.
and she was learning what it was all about. Um, and I think and I really appreciate like the younger guys coming up into this and trying to get more people involved. I think uh unfortunately my generation and some just a little bit before me have gotten too involved in their daily life and work and things like that to really try to get younger people involved. And I'm seeing the newer breed of people on YouTube and things like that starting to really see how important it is again, and getting and when you with the youth hunts and those types of things, and just showing the excitement and the fun of it is really I think it's really going to help just the outdoors in general. And YouTube is just it's such a great platform because you get on there and anybody in the world can see it if they want to,
Yep.
uh, and to get those things out. And I read the comments on other people's videos, and it's cool to see, you know, you do a dove hunt in Kansas, and somebody from New Zealand is watching it and
Yeah.
talking about it, and that's kind of brought something that we didn't have 20 years ago. It's brought the whole world, literally, of outdoors enthusiasts
Yeah.
together in that platform. And I've got a lot of respect for you, the hunting public, and all those guys, um, for doing this types of things. I mean, I my channel doesn't have that many subscribers, but I enjoy what I do. And if I don't get many, hey, I'm going to post it. And if one person watches it and gets some enjoyment out of it, that's great.
Yeah.
And I just, I do it for fun. Um, but it's just, it was just a couple years ago before I really started watching this type of stuff. And it's just, it's different than the old hunting videos that we go get the VHS tapes and stuff and bring them home, and it's just cool to see that. And you see some guys that that don't even really edit their videos. They just, whatever it's there, they post it,
Yep.
and you get to see that aspect of it. And there's so much diversity there. And like I said, I know you learned a lot from the hunting public, but it's very obvious that you've got your own style, the way
Mm-hmm.
you do things. You're not trying to mimic them by any stretch, although you've learned some things for sure. Um, and it's cool to see that because I honestly, I was curious when I heard about your channel, when they mentioned it on the hunting public. I went and checked it out because I was curious. Is this just going to be a hunting public part two?
Right.
And it was very obvious. No, no. This he's got his own thing, and this is cool. And waterfowl hunting is kind of a niche deal. Not everybody does it, obviously.
Right.
And I think, like we touched on earlier, a lot of people, it's because of the work involved and that type of thing. And then also, I mean, you have to live where there's water, and it's not available to everybody.
Right.
Uh, but just to see, and real quick, and we'll close this thing out. You mentioned that you do fishing videos. What type of fishing do you enjoy to do?
We bass fish, mostly bass and crappie fish, which I mean, that's kind of the opportunities in Missouri. I posted a bunch of spoonbill snagging videos
Yeah, I saw that. I saw
April. We go down to Lake the Ozarks every year and do that. So that was a ton of fun. I have a bunch of fun doing that. But then we also do, I mean, probably the bulk of our videos over the summer, as far as fishing goes, will be bow fishing. We do a lot of bow fishing. There's a couple spillways here that we can bow fish. And then actually, a lot of the duck, I mean, the managed waterfowl areas, they get loaded up with carp, and we will go and bow fish there at some of the managed water wetland areas. So those will kind of be the fishing videos. There'll be a couple bass videos, I think. When I'm in Wisconsin, I'm going to walleye fish with a couple of Jake's buddies that I've become friends with. So not exactly sure what all it'll entail, but there for sure be bass, crappie, and bow fishing.
But bow fishing's a lot of fun. I've done that for years. The You mentioned the walleye. I don't know if you've ever eaten walleye, but if you get a chance to keep one or two and get to eat them, that's one of the best eating fish there
Oh
is.
yeah, I've had
Uh,
it a couple of times and it's real good.
yeah, it's really good. That'll be cool. And you'll be up there with some guys that grew up doing it. So
Absolutely, they're gonna know what they're doing. Hopefully,
that that'll that'll be fun. Well, we'll go ahead and close out. I really thank you for your time. Um, and I'll get this posted in the next couple of days. Uh, just thanks a lot for your information and for your willingness to come on here. Um, and maybe we'll get to do it again sometime.
yeah, absolutely. Thanks for talking. I love meeting new people and talking to new people and learning new stuff. So appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you. So for all the viewers, this is Ethan Gooch. Go check out his channel, and I'll put a link in the description. And it's Gucci TV, right?
Correct. Yep.
Gucci TV. Go ahead and check out his channel if you haven't already. And we'll see y'all next time.
Thank you.
Yep.
We'll see you.
Thank you.